This is your last day in Japan, right?
Yes, after like over 4 months.
What was it like living in Japan for you? I'm gonna ask you directly, like, why are you living in Japan?
Well, I mean, like,
So, can you imagine yourself living in Japan in the future again?
I think maybe no.
Why? Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Takashi from Japan. So today I'm going to interview foreigners in Japan who are leaving Japan. I'm gonna ask them why are you leaving Japan? What was it really like living in Japan as a foreigner? Okay, let's find out today. On my channel, I interview Japanese people and foreigners in Japan. So it's the best channel for anyone who wants to come to Japan without traveling or living here. You can also learn Japanese here. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. And on my Instagram, I show my daily life in Tokyo, share information about Japan. And I'm also uploading shorts version on my interview. So if you haven't followed yet, please follow it too. Okay, let's get started. Okay, thank you for your time. Where you from?
I am from Korea.
Korea?
Mhm.
How long have you been in Japan?
For like 8 years.
What do you do here?
I work in Japanese company as a system engineer.
You gonna leave Japan soon, right?
Yes, March 15th, 16th,
Oh, so in 2 weeks or so.
in 2 weeks.
Wow. What's the reason leave Japan?
I'm starting my business back in my country. I was trying to actually start business here, but then since I'm foreigner, I'm not allowed to do other job other than my visa, like which is working visa. So yeah, that's why I'm going back to my country to start my business.
What was it like working in Japanese company as a foreigner?
So I mean, they have pros and cons, also, of course. Pros, like they care about their privacy and they take care of others' privacy. So I never get stressed about human relationship here. In other side, they don't really say their opinion in front of other people. I tend to not talk more and I try to like save my words, hide my personality. Like it's hard to say my opinion in the company. That's
Okay.
what I felt. I want to change my like life. That's why I'm getting out of my company.
What will not miss about Japan?
I think Japanese people find small happiness in their lives. After work, they go to like take a bath and they drink beer, relax, like let go of all the stress in the daily lives. I think I will miss like little happiness like during the daily lives. Yeah.
What will you not miss?
In Korea, everything is like digital. Like for example, like if you go to bank, I mean, we don't even have to go to bank. Like at home, we can just like open bank account at home, like to the like smartphone. But in Japan, like you have to go all the way to bank, and then there were many times I had to go back home to get my income back, and then go back to bank again, like
And
that
y-
kind of.
And you cannot type. You just need to write down every
Ah,
word.
yeah. I have to sign by my pen. I'm not allowed to like digital sign.
What's a piece of advice you give to someone who's coming to Japan right now?
I want to say that it's better to set the goal before you coming here. Otherwise, you will lose motivation living here because you know like it's hard to actually live in foreign country because it's all different with your country's like culture, people like looking.
Did you do that?
No, that's why I'm going back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you imagine yourself living in Japan in the future again?
I think maybe no.
Why?
Maybe it's personal thing. Like my personality is I don't want to go back to something that I used to. Like I love to do something new. I already live here like 7, 8 years, so I think I experienced everything here pretty much. So I think I'm not gonna come back here to live.
Last question. Do you speak Japanese?
Yeah.
You speak Japanese.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you work for a Japanese company, right?
Yes.
Everything in Japanese?
Everything is Japanese.
Okay. 日本語を勉強してる人にアドバイスするとしたらなんて言います？
一番いいのは日本の方と付き合うことでもそれができなかったら日本の方とこう友達たくさん作って文化と学べる。
日本人の人と付き合いました？
いいえ
え、
韓国の女の子あんまり好きじゃないと思います。
日本人の男？
まあ私が好きじゃない方かもしれないですけど。
ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。Can I check? You didn't like? Why?
thank you for your time. Where from? I'm from Sweden.
Sweden. How long have you been in Japan?
This time about 3 weeks, but before that I was in Japan for about a year.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you directly, like, why are you leaving Japan?
Well, I mean, like, being in Japan, it's very lovely here. I love Japan. But to be like in the groove, you can't just like be in the groove here. You understand what I mean? Like always having business going or getting to know people and then actually manifesting that into like a business. The main reason is that when I'm in Europe, I got something going. I got something going for me.
What would you miss and what you wouldn't miss about Japan?
When I miss Japan, I'll miss the clean city. I mean, Tokyo, relatively speaking, it's like super safe and super clean. And everyone says that all the time.
What you do miss?
What I would not miss? Oh, being a foreigner.
What's it like living in Japan as a foreigner?
As a foreigner.
Yeah.
Well, you're always in this gray zone, right? Of being a cool foreigner. It's so cool to be a foreigner, but it's also annoying for people. Because they're like like if you have language issues, especially because many foreigners, they don't speak Japanese at all, right? But I find that once you break the barrier, people are very kind to you here.
It takes time to break a barrier.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And especially if you don't have any language in common, you can't even reach any sort of like understanding, right?
What's a piece of advice you give to someone who's coming to Japan for the first time? To live here.
Ooh, well, one, learn Japanese. If you don't understand, if you can't even read a sign, you are like socially handicapped. You cannot live normally. Learn some basics even before coming here, because you've met foreigners that have lived here for 10, 20 years, and they can't even speak a sentence, right? Get used to not being a loud foreigner, Get used to being polite, and standing in line correctly. If you see the subway coming and you see people are lining up, line up. Get out of the way. Learn to bow, these very, very simple things, very simple things.
Can you imagine yourself living in Japan in the future again for the long term? Maybe years?
A year? A year?
Years.
Years? No, absolutely not.
Why?
Because again, like I'm not Japanese.
You will never be Japanese.
And I
That's
will-
what people saying.
Exactly, and you will never be Japanese. Doesn't matter how much Japanese you speak or if you get naturalized as a citizen, it doesn't matter. But I appreciate Japan. So that's why I come here all the time. It's a huge blessing to be able to come here and there.
Last question, do you speak Japanese?
ちょっとできます。
どうやって日本語勉強しました？
語学生でしたよ。日本語語学を通ってたんですね。
日本語学校に通って
はい
喋れるようになる人と喋れない人
そうです。
何が違うと思います？
学校に行ってなんか後に何するだね。学校に通ってその4時間ぐらいね。そう英語喋れる人その人となんか遊ばないで。そうね。すみません英語でforce yourself to hang out
Japanese
with Japanese people.
You put yourself in the situation that you need to speak Japanese.
そうです。
なるほど。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうござい
あり
ます。
がとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Okay, thank you for your time. Can you introduce your background?
Okay, so I'm half Japanese, half Australian. I've been living in Japan for all my life. I never lived abroad. I went to a public school in Japan.
You live in Japan soon, right?
Yes, I'm going to Australia.
Why are you living in Japan? What's the biggest reason that you leave Japan?
So it's for my son's education. So I have a 5-year-old son. And so I was looking at schools and thinking about my past. So I went to a public school in Japan. You just have to memorize everything. The teacher does a lecture, you listen, you write everything down on your notebook, and you don't do presentations or discussions. And in Australia, presentations and discussions. And I think it's a good thing, like when you work at a company or in the future, you just use all that ability, right? And so I thought it's the best thing for my son. And one more, in Japan, there's only like 1.2 to 2% of immigrants. In Australia, it's 50%. And so I want to raise him in a community with lots of races, backgrounds. And so that's why I want to go to Australia. So in Japan, if you're different, people look at you differently. And when I walk with my mom, go to stores,
Which
They-
is Australian.
she's Australian.
Yeah.
She's been living in Japan for 40 years now.
Yeah.
She can speak Japanese, but they will look at me, not my mom. So I don't like that part of Japan.
Can you imagine yourself living in Japan again in the future?
Yeah, totally, yes. I love the food here. I love the people. I have all my friends here, half of my family, and yeah, I love Japan. So Maybe I'll think about it when my son finishes primary school.
Right, right.
Yeah, things change, so
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
Okay, so you speak Japanese obviously because you're from Japan, right? Can you introduce yourself in Japanese?
エミリーと申します。5歳の息子がいて、オーストラリアに引っ越そうと思ってます。
ありがとうございました。あり
ありがとうございます。
がとうございました。Thank you for your time. Where from?
I'm from Spain.
Spain.
Yes.
How long have you been in Japan?
I've been almost 5 months now
5
in
months?
Japan. Yeah.
So you're gonna leave Japan, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna leave Japan in a month and a half
Why are you leaving?
because of visa.
Because of
Yeah,
visa?
because I finished my studies at the language school, and then I cannot stay here for 6 months
Yeah.
because I want to do other things at university. I wanted to continue my studies. So yeah.
After leaving Japan, how do you answer this question? What do you like the most and the least about Japan?
So I would say what I like the most about Japan is the safety. Because like of course there's like bad people everywhere, but even at night I can feel safe. What I don't like about Japan, for example, guys, you're walking on the street and suddenly a guy approaches you and they'll be like, "Oh, you're American, you're my type," or something like that. It's just like every foreigner is American. That for me is like,
What's a piece of advice you give to someone who's never been to Japan but want to come to Japan?
So I think there'll be two things. The first one is learning Japanese. Like you don't have to be Japanese master to come to Japan, but it will be really, really, really helpful to know at least the basics. Because I have friends who came here with zero Japanese. Their experience have been really different to my
'cause-
experience.
Because you have studied in Spain before coming to Japan.
Yeah, like I wasn't fluent or anything, but I could like understand Japanese and communicate to excellent level. So and then the second one is having zero expectations of the country. You love manga, anime, or I don't know. You have your own image of the country. So when you come here and the country don't really fulfill what you think, your image of the country, you're gonna get like disappointed. You are not gonna feel like you belong here. Because I've had friends from my university who came here as exchange student, and they had this experience. They were like, Japan is not what I think.
Also, like
Japan
they did fantasize
Yeah.
Japan
They had, like,
because of
a-
anime and stuff.
Yeah, or whatever the thing they liked. They really like hyped up the country. So I came here without having like any expectations. I was like, let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. That's why I think I'm now really happy with my life in Japan and I really want to come back.
You mentioned you want to study in Japan more, but would you work here?
From what I heard from other foreigner peoples working in here, like in Japan, you don't really have holidays. The time you have to work is like really long. You have to work, and competition and everything. So,
So you're not sure if
I'm
you
not
can
sure.
work. Last question, do you speak Japanese?
yes, I'll say I speak.
日本出るじゃないですか、すぐ。どう思いますかそれについて。
なんか日本はめっちゃ楽しかったから今ちょっと悲しいです。そうそうそう。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Okay, thank you for your time. Where from?
I'm from Germany.
You're a student, right?
Yeah, I'm exchange student here, so I study business and I've been living in Japan for over 6 months now.
You're gonna leave Japan.
I'm gonna leave Japan unfortunately next week.
What do you think you miss the most and least about Japan?
Friendly people. I love the customer service here a lot. That people are more reserved here. We in Germans are very direct, so people are here more indirect. They really care about other people. I will miss that a lot. This kind of respectful mindset.
What's the least?
What I will not miss?
Yeah.
Actually, the opposite of that, what I mentioned. Sometimes I see that people don't say really what they think. They don't really say their opinion. Even I worked here. Sometimes I saw when my senpai said something to me and I said, maybe we can do it like that. And people was like, how can you say that? Please, just be
So-
calm. Yeah.
What's a piece of advice that you give to someone who's coming to Japan now?
First of all, guys, learn Japanese. Trust me. People don't speak as good English, and I couldn't believe that before I came here. No, they will speak English. No, they don't speak as good English as in our countries. Don't have too many expectations, maybe. I was thinking that everything is here about anime, like the typical Japanese thing, but no, it's some different. It's kind of diverse here too. So don't have too many expectations.
Can you imagine yourself living in Japan again in the future?
Yes, myself, I could imagine to come here to work, to see to experience the work culture here, to see how it is to live as a non-student, just a normal life, you know. Actually, I'm planning to. I will now graduate this year, and then after that, I'm planning to come back to Japan, maybe as an intern or from a German company here, you know what I mean, as a foreign worker, employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, thank you for your time. Where from?
I'm from Berlin, Germany.
Nice to meet you. And this is your last day in Japan, right?
Yes, after like over 4 months, I lived in Kobe, close to Osaka, for studying like a semester abroad.
And
Yeah.
now in Tokyo because it's your last day in Japan.
Yeah, I wanted to enjoy Tokyo for 2 days and grab some souvenirs before I leave. Yeah.
Okay. What do you like the most and least about Japan?
I feel like you can have a really convenient life here. Like, for example, with the convenience stores, I think I will really miss them. You can just grab like a quick snack or drink, and it's actually quite healthy. And what I like the least, maybe, but I think it's more like my mistake because I didn't really learn so much Japanese. I tried to learn it in uni, but it was really tough with all the other courses. Like, sometimes I would love to interact more or talk more to the local people. So I wasn't really able to do that. If someone would come to Japan, I would recommend to learn a bit of the basics.
Can you imagine yourself living in Japan in the future again? No?
I'm not
Yeah.
really sure. I think the language is like a big barrier. I can imagine like maybe to work here in Tokyo maybe for a year, but I heard like we learned in uni a lot about like the tough working conditions and stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure if I could like fit into the system in a way.
Thank you for being honest. Yeah, because like you like Japan, you enjoy life in Japan, but you are not sure if
Yeah.
you can come to Japan again
Yes.
to live here.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you so much. Thank you. Okay, thank you for watching so far. How was it? That was interesting. Every interview is mentioned about learning Japanese before coming to Japan. I'm totally agree with that. I think you should learn Japanese before coming to Japan as much as you can, especially if you planning to live in Japan for long term. That's why I'm planning to make videos about learning Japanese more. So stay tuned. Okay, anyway, thank you for watching. If you like this video, click like button. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you have any question that you want me to ask people in Japan, please leave a comment too. See you next time.